Hello everyone, I'm Lady Calamere. Welcome to my channel. I am doing my 149th video presentation from my YouTube, and it will be on the goddess Aset, commonly known as Isis. And Isis was the Greco-Egyptian name for the goddess Aset. Aset, who is she? What is she? Isis, when people think of Isis, they think of Egypt. And we're not talking about the terrorist organization known as ISIS. They can go screw themselves. Their organization meant is the Iraqi Syrian Islamic State. Okay, sorry guys, ISIS wants her name back. But whatever you call her, Aset, Auset, Aset, Isis, that's between you and the goddess. Isis is a very powerful deity. She has grown massively from the ancient times to even now, where she has become an all-purpose goddess, a powerful goddess. Isis is, in the stories, the daughter of Nut and Geb. She is a sibling of Osiris, Set, also Seth, Horus the Elder, or Hor-ur. She is a sibling of Nephthys Nebet-het. She is the granddaughter of Ra. Isis has become so powerful. I mean, when you look at different Egyptian deities, some of them were like regional deities, and either they became forgotten, or they were swallowed up by other deities, or they swallowed up other deities and become greater and greater and greater. Isis has sort of like swallowed sort of like the other deities, or been compared to other deities, or took the name of other deities. Like with Hathor, she took her likeness, and she took some of her qualities, but not everything. There's things that Hathor does that Isis does not do. I mean, when the Greeks came, that's how she got her name, Isis, from Aset. They loved her so much. And in fact, her fame grew, and her worship grew, and her worship became the cult of Isis. And it went past Egypt. It went to her temples, and her worship went to Greece, went to Rome, went to France, went to England. I mean, it spread throughout the known world. Her religion became so vast and so big and so powerful. It rivaled that of Bast. It rivaled that of Hathor, who rivaled that of Christianity, and was even more popular than the Virgin Mary herself. And which, by the way, the likeness of the Virgin Mary and some of the things about Isis and the sorrows of Isis became that of Virgin Mary, where they made the Virgin Mary more, if you look at her, more the Greek style robes, but they made her in an image more of a Christianity, more of a conservative form of Isis. In fact, she even took the title of Mother of Sorrows, which is one of the many titles of Isis. Isis is known as the goddess of 10,000 names. Isis is the sister wife of Osiris and the mother of Horus, or Hor, the younger. H-O-R. Isis's name was spelled in Egypt. It would be in hieroglyphs: a throne, a semicircle, and a hieroglyph for goddess. Isis's form and images has changed again and again and again, and here she sees more like Hathor, but you see the vulture headdress on her. Isis is very powerful. In fact, there is a religion. Actually, no, there is a magical organization, religion called the Fellowship of Isis. And which one of the prayers is, Isis is all things, and all things are Isis. Her breath is the air. Her fire is the spirit. Her her breath is the air. Her fire, her will is the fire. Her water is the blood, and her body upholds the earth. Or sometimes even said, her body is the earth. Her spirit and her ba is in all the gods. She is called Iset Nef for the air, Iset Ash for the fire, Iset Mu for the water, and Iset Ta for the element of earth. She is Iset Ba for the spirit. Let me show you some, let me give credit where credit is due because I'm showing these cards. Okay. So, I do recommend this if you want to work with Isis. The Isis Oracle. Okay, so these two cards, the Spirit of Isis, Triumph of the Goddess, and Goddess of 10,000 Names, Isis, Endless Emanations of the Priestess, come from this lovely Oracle deck, Isis Oracle, by Alana Fairchild, and illustrated by Jimmy Matten. So, now this lovely card, the Aset, which is her Egyptian name, comes from the Kemetic Tarot, based on the Egyptian Book of Coming Forth by Day by Michael Coles. Another great deck, especially if you're interested, like me, in the Egyptian deities. I do recommend getting this. And last but not least, this absolutely beautiful card, Holy Queen, Mother of us all, embodied manifestation of love, is by the Anubis Oracle, A Journey into the Shamanic Mysteries of Egypt by Nikki Scully and Linda Starr Wolf, illustrated by Chris Wilder. I do recommend them all. So go to Amazon today and get them. And I also have some books that I do recommend if you're interested in the research. Oh, come on, Joker. Isis Magic by M. Isadora Forrest. Also another book by her. Offerings to Isis by, again, M. Isadora Forrest. Joker. The Mysteries of Isis, Her Worship and Magic by DeTracy Regula. Again, you can find them on eBay, Amazon. Isis, Queen of Egyptian Magic, Her Book of Divination and Spells by Jonathan D. Beautiful illustrations in that book. Absolutely beautiful. And I got this as my Kindle book, so no Joker. Oh crap. Hang on. I think Joker wants to jump on the altar. He can jump on it as long as he doesn't destroy things. I don't know what happened here. I can't get to my Kindle book. I'm sorry. Why was it turned off on me? I don't know. I gotta wait till it loads. So, Isis became assimilated with different planets, Venus, Earth. She became a lunar goddess, as well as different aspects of her became solar. Yes, there is actually an epithet of her name, Isis Ray, the feminine Ra. And which, of course, that's a solar aspect. So, even Oh, for God's sakes. I'm trying to get this out, so I don't know why this shut down on me. But even when the Greeks came there, they loved her so much, and even the Romans, that they even uh, basically compared her to their deities, where they called her Isis Agati, Isis Io, Isis Artemis, Isis Aphrodite or Aphrodite, Isis Sophia, Isis Sothis. So, and then it was said by some people in ancient times that they loved her so much that they would say that no matter where people are from, when they pray to their goddess, be it Astarte or Inanna or Aphrodite, they're really praying to Isis. I don't buy into that, but that's what they were saying. And why is this not working? Okay. We got this book that I recommend, Isis, the Eternal Goddess of Egypt and Rome by Leslie Jackson. Finally, I got it to load. So, Isis is, a lot of people forget that she does have a warrior aspect. She is Isis the victorious, Isis of victory. She will fight. She will fight. She will go to, if she has to, she will become a warrior. That's what some people overlook. And some people have actually used her in vengeance magic. Joker just looked at me like, really? Yep. Another thing that was interesting that wasn't, see, I'm trying to figure out where to begin with Isis, because she is a very complex, very multi-layered goddess, and there is just so much information. And like I said, her religion, like I said before, rivaled that of Hathor, Bos, Christianity. And only her temples were closed because of, eventually, the Emperor Justinian had ordered it closed. Because even Christians were praying to her. Where they would leave milagros, where if they healed her leg, if she healed their leg, they would bring like a little image of a leg to her. Or if she healed a hand, they would bring an image of a hand to her. And that they even made Mary imaged after her. I don't know if I said this in this take, because I had to take several takes of this. But they made Mary as a conservative, Greek-looking Christian version of her, where they even call Mary the Queen of Heaven and Earth, which was a title of Isis, a Queen of Heaven and Earth, where she was the mother of God, where Isis is the mother of Horus, Horus the Younger, not Horror, sorry, Horus the Younger, where Jesus became an image of became a version of Horus, and after sacrifice like that of Osiris. So, I mean, when you look at the Pharaoh, they were to represent Horus alive, and when they died, they represented Osiris, Asar, Isis's husband. So we see Mary as a mother of sorrows, and that's one of the epithets of Isis, as the mother of sorrows. And that was, her sorrow became when, after her husband was murdered, after she went And this is a whole big epic where she searches for her husband of her body with her sister Neptes, where she becomes homeless, traveling in exile, where she cried when her son was dying because Set poisoned him. So this lady, when she knows what pain is, and there are different versions of these stories depending whether they're Egyptian tellings, whether they're Roman retellings, or the retellings by Greek. So different things were put in, different things were added, things had a Greek flair to them or a Roman flair to them. And it's a great big story about that. I just want to try to really brush up and help you understand who Isis is, the Queen of Egypt. Her and her husband, Osiris, were the ones to help civilize Egypt, to stop barbarism, to bring in law, order, to Isis, where Osiris taught them how to cultivate things and how to grow, how to farm, how to have agriculture, and Isis taught about midwifery, she taught about spinning and being a good parent and being a good person. She taught them, they both taught law, reasoning, civility, humility. She taught people how to be human, to have humanity and be less of an animal, to be, she taught them how to stop the savagery. Aset, Isis, is the goddess of all women and girls. She represents all of us. But she loves everyone. She does love people. She loves people so much. Yes, she can get angry. And that's one thing is in the stories. When she was angry, she would turn her eye of anger. And when she turned her eye of anger at someone, they would die. It was almost like a curse. She would look at them and give the evil eye and boom, dead. Or she would screech and her screeching would cause someone to die. Some people forget about that. Isis is known as Great of Magic. And she is a sorceress, a witch, and a magician, and a shaman. She knows all these things. She was a pupil of Tahuti, Thoth, Jehuti. He taught her so much magic. She learned from Bast as well. But she got her she knew it even in her story. She knew everything of heaven and earth except for the true name of Ra. But she got that eventually too. Would you like to hear it? Well, let's go. So Isis desired to know everything. She is a goddess of knowledge and wisdom. She was the greatest student of Tahuti, and she became the greatest teacher. And she became second to none in magic. Her magic even rivaled that of Thoth, it is said. The greatest one of magic. Her spells are all so powerful, but she desired more, and she knew she would need it to help her son Horus. She knew she would need it. So Ra was growing old and older and older. And in fact, when he walked or he slept, he drooled. And and his spit would hit the ground. One day Isis went and collected his spit, and she made with the dirt and his spit and with her magic and with her incantations made a venomous snake called a cobra. And she put this, she knew where he would be, where, and remember, the key word is crossroads. She went to the crossroads and she left the snake there. And then as Ra passed, the snake bit him and injected its venom into his system. He became sicker and sicker, and all the gods and goddesses tried, especially the gods, tried to heal him. Even Thoth could not heal him. And he became more and more in pain. And then Isis comes to him, "Oh, grandfather, I can heal you." And he said, "You can?" And I said, "Yes, but I must know your name." So he would rattle out all the epithets. She said, "Yes, I know these names, but I cannot heal them. I need your true name." And then he kept rattling off, he's the god of this, and he's the god of that, and he's known by this, and he's known by that. "Grandfather, I cannot heal you unless I know your true name." And then he kept saying this and that, and he was getting more and more delirious, more and more sick. A fever was overtaking him. The pain was so great, and the venom was coursing through him, and he was finding it more and more hard to concentrate and more hard to breathe, and he became more and more desperate. "Tell me your name." Finally, he whispered it into her ear. And true to her word, she healed him with his name. And now she had power over Ra. She had more power than all beings in the universe, in the Egyptian mythos, the beliefs. In the cult of Isis, she had more power than all the gods combined. She could have easily gotten the name from Set and tricked him, but I think she wanted the name of Ra because he was the great powerhouse, and now she became the powerhouse. And she even used this name when her son lay dying from being struck by venom because of what Set did. And she stopped the sun in its course, and she would not let it continue until her son was brought back to her. And she also, with the conditions of him giving her the name and healing him, she wanted her son's eyes to be that of the sun, and to have one eye to represent the sun and one to represent the moon, which was granted to her too. So we see Isis in the role of trickery, that she can use her tricks, where she even tricked Set. She's tricked him on several occasions. She's a shapeshifter. She has shapeshift where he didn't even know it was his own sister, where she has seduced him to get her own way for her own son. We see Isis as a great mother. And yes, she could be meddling. When her son's affair, she became meddling. She became sometimes a bit overbearing, even overpowering. But without her intercession, without Isis interceding for him, he would have never gained the throne back from Set. The throne that was Osiris's, that Set took and murdered him and took the throne. And it was supposed to be, after, of course, Asar died, it was supposed to be to an heir of Osiris. See, that's why also Isis went through exile because Set wanted to claim her hand as his queen, so that he can have complete rule over the lands of Egypt, Upper and Lower Egypt and Middle Egypt. He wanted it all. So that's another reason why Isis went on exile, or she fled. And that's, there's a story of why she revived Osiris to get her pregnant, so that there would be an heir. To the throne, to take it back from Set. The only time she had confrontation where she was, she never really had a problem with Ra, but the only time she really had a problem with him was because he did not side with Horus, he sided with Set. So that's the only time she had any confrontations. And it seemed like Ra didn't really hold it against her for what she did. I think he kind of respected her for her trickery and her manipulation and the wisdom to do what she did. And the fact that she had a pair of balls to do what she did. Isis is the goddess it is a brave goddess. Also, I know I'm going to be asked this. Yes, Isis is very approachable. Yes, Isis is great for beginners. Yes, Isis is for everyone. Everyone. Whether you're just starting or whether you've been on this path for 50 years, she is for everyone. Isis does have some dark aspects to her. Isis, there is the black Isis, and there is the white Isis, and there is the golden Isis. There is a very primal Aset. There is also an aspect where she's very primal, where she has like a Kali like aspect where she's devouring things, but she's usually seen as pleasant and beautiful or royal or regal. I just want y'all to know that. So her festivals are, and this is July 19th, and this is a celebration of the marriage nuptials between Asar, her brother husband, and Aset. The birthday of Aset is celebrated July 17th. So July 17th is her birthday. Other festivals and feast days. Actually, one of the feast days, the next feast day, and is actually today. December 31st. December 31st. And by the way, Happy New Year's to everybody. We're at the cusp of the New Year's. Today is December 31st. Why I'm also doing this. December 29th. I'm sorry, not December 29th. I'm sorry. December 21st and 31st. December 21st and 31st are her celebrations. Other celebrations, which are also coming up, is January 7th and 8th. January 7th and 8th. So mark that on your calendar. Then we have August 12th and August 18th. We also have March 23rd as her celebrations. September 1st and September 24th. September 1st and September 24th. October 3rd and October 10th are also her celebrations. And in November, we have 3 days. 3 days at our celebration. We have the November 24th and November 25th. And then skip a few days later to November 29th. animals that are associated with Isis. But she's always seen pretty much like a human goddess, except for sometimes she's seen with a cow's head, like Hathor. And she didn't take the images and look of Hathor into the new kingdom of each, the newer, there's, you have the old kingdom and the new kingdom. During the new kingdom is when she started taking aspects of Hathor. There's also an interesting story of how she became the cow, associated with the cow goddess. And there's different versions of this. When Horus and Set were fighting as hippopotami, they turned themselves into each one became a hippopotamus, and they were fighting. Isis takes her spear and she spears Set, but she refuses to kill him because Set reminded him, I am your brother. Horus was angry, grabs her crown, takes it off, and then chops off her head. Which Set gets angry and he orders a death penalty on Horus. But Tahuti, she doesn't die. Tahuti comes and he puts a cow's head on her. And ta-da, she's back. But she became associated with the cow goddess. And then the other version is when she took the spear and she accidentally hit her son and not Set, and he became enraged and screamed in pain, grabbed her crown, threw it on the ground, and then chopped her head off. She's associated with the vulture, as you see the headdress of the vulture. She also takes on the snake goddess, where she has the cobra. The snake goddess is Renenutet. But she takes on what she's called Isis Renenutet. Scorpions have been associated with her, where she becomes Isis Selkit. And I have a statue of Selkit. And some people actually use it as Isis because it's in the feminine form of her with a scorpion's headdress. Cats were not associated with her in Egypt, but outside Egypt, in the cult of Isis, cats became sacred to her. Dogs even become sacred to her. Hawks and falcons, as well as a bird called a kite, which her sister Neptys becomes a kite. And you can tell the difference between them is that if you look at the headdress, the one with the throne on its head is Isis, because that's one of her headdresses. It's also that of a throne, not just this. Sometimes you will see a throne on her crown because her name means throne, Aset, and she's become the throne of the god, where the god sits on her and takes his rightful power, his place. Her name means throne, as well as throne of the throne. The sow, female pig, a swallow, so those are just off the top of my head. Isis is sometimes seen winged and sometimes not winged. She holds the lotus scepter, and she also holds the Ankh. Isis becomes so powerful to people in the Greek and the Roman religions. They say Isis was before time, even though she is the daughter of Nut and Geb, also called Seb. Nut is the sky goddess and Geb is the earth god, the god of the earth. That they say Oh, but that's an incarnation of her. That she was before time. She was where Atum uses his hand and he rubs himself, and out comes the seed, which is Tefnut and Shu, and all things were created by him. Where she was considered the hand of Atum. She was the. They said she was the hand. They say that she is the father. She is the mother of her father. She is the mother of her father. That she is the mother of all mothers. She is the queen of all queens. She becomes the god, celestial goddess. She becomes solar. She becomes lunar. She's the goddess of the earth. She is the goddess of nature. She is Mother Nature itself. She is the goddess who deals with life as well as with death. She's also a funerary goddess. Did you know that? And a mourner. Where when the rich people died, they would hire professional mourners, and the mourners would come as Nephthys and Isis and would professionally mourn. That was actually a good paid job to have, to learn how to mourn and become professional mourners. Kid you not. Isis and Nephthys. Nephthys is considered her twin, but her darker twin. So let's look at her. Let's look at the Isis in this way, and Nephthys. Isis and Nephthys are the twins. So if Isis were put together, Isis is that of the rising sun, and Nephthys would be seen as a setting sun, where Isis is the morning, morning, and Nephthys is the evening, where Isis would be on the eastern banks of the Nile, and Nephthys would be on the western. When the funeral rites and the mummification of Osiris is being done, sometimes you'll see two kites. They're birds. Isis would be at the head of Osiris, where Nephthys would be at the feet. Isis is the one with the throne on his head, again on her head. Where Isis represents the day, Nephthys would represent the night. If you look at the moon, Isis would be the full moon, Nephthys would be the dark moon. And from the perspective of the earth, because we only see one face of the moon, Isis would be the seen face of the moon, and Nephthys would be the other face that we do not see from earth. We are not privy to seeing from, because the way the rotations of the moon and the earth are, we never see the other side of the moon. Well, we could say Isis represents life, Nephthys represents death. Isis she's a goddess of magic, healing, fertility, marriage vows. Her love is that of love between a husband and wife, not a lover or girlfriend. That deals with Heret, territory. Hers is that of motherhood. Hers represents all women's stuff. She deals with the funerary rites. She even deals with the souls after the death. Isis's colors, depending on what you're working with. Are you working with the solar Isis? Then her colors would be that of gold. Lunar Isis would be that of silver. She's also, in some aspects, red. For that of, even considering the menstruation of a woman. Blue and white is also sacred to her colors. And there's also the white Isis, where, of course, white. And then there's the primal Isis, black, earth. Her constellation is Virgo. If you know anything about ceremonial magic, you know about the ritual hexagram, where they say LVXL, the sign of the morning of Isis, mourning as in crying. The V, the sign of Typhon and Apophis. X, the sign of Osiris risen. LVX, Luke. So then there's part of it where we say Virgo, Isis, mighty mother. Right there. Her astrological sign is Virgo. Even though Isis, the mighty Virgo, Isis, the mighty mother. She is the Virgin Mother. She is the pure one, as they're saying. So one of Isis's sacred stone is lapis lazuli. I gotta get this dumb cat. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. You big dummy, what you doing? What you doing, sweetie? What you got in your mouth? Give it to me. Give it to me. Come on. Give it to me. Nope, nope. Thank you, sweetie. Big dummy. You guys always gotta do this, don't you? What you doing, Joker? What you doing? They always gotta act up. It's not about them. So, Isis's stones are definitely lapis lazuli, the star sapphire, silver, gold. So those are some of her metals. Carnelian, ruby, emeralds, aquamarine, quartz, turquoise, amethyst, Isis calcite, the Isis quartz, the veil of Isis quartz, jasper, definitely jasper, red jasper and green jasper, especially red jasper, moonstone, pearls, peridot, midnight lace, obsidian. Did I miss anything else? I should really be right. Sometimes I swear sometimes I should write little notes, but I don't. I refuse. So Isis, trying to think what else she's associated with. Oh boy. I don't think anything else. So some of her other things that she represents in symbols is the Ankh, and some people feel that the Ankh was a mirror, or that was a little doll that represents the goddess. But there's also so much to the Ankh, dealing with the liminal powers of life meeting of the ordinary, the mundane meeting the spiritual. It was also said to be that of a sandal strap, of the loop that goes around your toe. So there's the Ankh deserves its own presentation. Sistrum, the Setula. Now the Setula was like a vase, and it was in the shape of a pendulous breast. So Situla, Situla. There's also a thing called the Isis loop, and it looks almost like an ankh, but it isn't. So some of the like trees and like the plants and trees that were associated with her, we have the acacia, the papyrus, myrrh, Myrh, myrrh, lotus, especially blue lotus is very sacred to her. Roses, fig, the fig tree, the sycamore tree. As one of the prayers, you are the sycamore, you are the balm of the sycamore tree of Isis. What you doing? What you about to do? Palm trees. Stop it! Ow! Ow! Vervain, blue vervain, especially blue vervain, is associated to her. Oh, another stone. I forgot, sorry. Bloodstone. Bloodstone is also one of her stones. Can you stop? Isis is also the goddess dealing with the waters and the ocean. She's also particular interest for mariners and sailors. So mariners and sailors before, and even people in the Royal Navy, not the Royal Navy, sorry, the Egyptian Navy would pray to her. Because that's also her domain. She deals with ships and boats and being out in the ocean and fishing. So people would pray to her. She was just about for everything. Healing, fertility, pregnancy, healing of people and animals, goddess of nature, goddess of all types of magic, goddess, she helps with divination and psychic powers. She can help you with that. She is a goddess dealing with tarot, pendulums, all types of crystal scrying, water scrying, fire scrying. She deals with all of that. You can use her for tea leaf reading, palmistry. For a goddess, she's a goddess who sends dreams, and she's a dream interpreter. So you can use her for what's that called again? She's for dreaming. She's to be aware in dreaming. I'm trying to think of that word. I'll remember it. I'm making an ass out of myself right now because I have problems ever since I had COVID. So sometimes I had COVID over a year ago. So I've been getting some memory gaps at times. It's basically when it's the word for it, when you're aware that you're dreaming and you can control it. It's right at the tip of my tongue, and I always talk about it. Lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming, that's the word. So she can help you with that. She can help you with astral traveling, any type of spiritual traveling, spiritual sight, psychic sight. She can help you with meditation. She can help you with everything like that. She's a goddess of beauty. So she can help you with that too. To beautify yourself. What you doing? You're scratching everything. I have the Joker now, and he's just like going after things. She is the goddess. She. Would you stop? She's a goddess that can help you with your magical power. She helps with the cultivation of your land, so if you have a green thumb. She is considered Mother Nature herself. She's a goddess when you want to travel by land or sea, land, sea, or sky. As she is the queen of heaven and earth, she is the queen of the oceans. She is the goddess of the netherworld to take care of any spiritual problems. So if you got any spiritual disruptions, you got any entities, ghosts that you want to calm down or get rid of, you can use the powers of Isis, the powers of Aset. She can help you learn and teach, to be a great student and be a great teacher, as she was. She is great for house protections and cleansings and purifications. Another color that's also associated with her is green. I forgot that. Green is also associated with Isis. So, offerings to Isis. There are many, many offerings. I'll just give you some of them. Milk, water, figs, all different types of fruits, be they fresh or dried. Chocolate, she loves chocolate. Flowers, especially lotuses and roses. She loves kypri incense. She loves lotus. She loves perfumes. Other offerings: beer, bread, wine. She loves wine, white or red, fine. Give her sweet wines and dry wines. Mead is also now given to her. She loves honey cakes, eggs, or good offering. So give her a whole egg. Make her a hard-boiled egg if you want. Could be white egg, blue egg. I mean, you ever see the shells naturally blue and naturally green? Brown egg, white egg, it doesn't matter. But some people just like to stick with the white, and that's fine. Also, other things, some vegetables. Like some people give her vegetations, and some people like to give her like tomatoes and cucumbers, something from their garden. She likes jewelry. candies, mooncakes, cheesecake. You can give her the crystals that are and stones that are associated with her. Perfumes. She loves also resinous incense too, as well as myrrh. Give her some myrrh. Burn it to her. Give her two incense sticks. Give it to her as the myrrh resins. Another thing I want to look for is the knot of Isis. I couldn't show it to you before because Joker was sitting on the book. So let me go through this. Let's see if this has it. Let me see right here. Does it have the knot? Yeah, 193. Hope it has a picture. Here's the knot of Isis I was telling you about. That looks almost like an ankh. The knot of Isis, and it was originally made of red jasper, but you can make it out of red yarn. And in this book, Isis Magic, it tells you how to make it, step by step by step, for her. So this comes from the offerings to Isis. So we have the knot of Isis. So I'm going to read this a little bit. And this comes from the book of Coming Forth by Day. Spell for a knot amulet of red jasper. You have your blood, O Isis. You have your power, O Isis. You have your magic, O Isis. As for him for whom this is done, the power of Isis will be the protection of his body. And Horus, son of Isis, will rejoice over him. When he sees him, no path will be hidden from him, and one side of him will be towards the sky, and the other towards the earth. A true matter, you shall not let anyone see it in your hand, for there is nothing equal to it. The book of Coming Forth by Day. Isis also likes candles. She likes little gifts like that. There's actually in the Louvre Museum in Paris, France, that has a rare image, a terracotta image of the goddess Aset. A beautiful image of Isis weeping for her husband, Osiris. Now, there's other sources about how much Isis loved Osiris. And I even got in arguments with people, because some of these people definitely came from Christian backgrounds, still haven't left their Christianity. Like, I would show pictures of Isis and stuff. I'm glad my goddesses don't dress like that. And I said, well, there are stories about how Isis loved so much. And this is not something that was newly written or something that's from like 20 or even 50 years ago. That in some of the stories that Isis loved Osiris so much that she made love to him in the womb of Nut. And you gotta understand that some people reject that. Oh, no, she didn't. This is not Christianity. This is not, where sex is bad. Isis marries her own brother. Okay? Another thing about Isis is she loves very greatly. And in fact, when Nephthys seduced Osiris, where Osiris in some stories knew it was Nephthys, others say he didn't know it was Nephthys. Most stories says he didn't know it was her, that he thought it was his sister wife Isis. He had sex with his other sister and got her pregnant, and she became pregnant with Anpu. Anubis, in which she was afraid of Set's fury, so she discarded the child. Isis was upset what happened with Nephthys and Osiris, but she forgave Nephthys. And she's the one that took in Anubis. And Anubis becomes very dedicated to Isis and also to her son Horus. His nephew Horus. So sort of like brother, not really nephew, his half brother, I would say. Sorry. But half brother. So you gotta understand that it's paganism is different from Christianity right there. And what the gods do, we don't do in some things, okay? I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but just letting you know that, yes, it was incest. Horus was born through incest. Anubis was born through incest. Isis's tears were said to be plentiful, where she would cry and through her tears cause the inundation of the Nile River, which was very important to the ancient Egyptians, but can also be dangerous. We have a beautiful picture right here of her. Isis also represents lighthouses. Isis, I do want to sum this up. There's so much to be learned about Isis. I mean, I didn't even know where to start, where to begin, where to end. Like I said, she is a multi-layered, multi-purpose goddess. Now, the interesting thing is that her main husband was Osiris, but later on they pair her with another deity that comes where she was associated because dealing with the Greeks and the Romans, Serapis. Where Serapis to the Greeks was definitely Zeus, and to the Egyptians were Osiris, where it's like another deity, where she becomes associated as the wife of Serapis. Isis, the Greeks saw her usually as Demeter, where the D is always pronounced like a short. So D's are not like dog and day. It's more, imagine saying they as in day, for the day, daylight, or dog, or damage and saying damage instead of saying damage. Doodle. So it's a short TH sound, similar. But like I said, they associated her in some aspects. They say, well, she has some aspects of Artemis. She has some aspects of Hecate, which is Hecate. She has some aspects of Hera. She has some aspects of Juno. She has some aspects of Athena, where she becomes Isis Athena, Isis Artemis, like I said before. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. So, I think I wanted to show you something else, but I can't find it. Where was that? The knot of Isis. Sorry, I can't find it. Forgive me. So let's go through some of her other epithets and her names. She's known as Isis' savior, Isis Ray, the Black Isis, the Maiden, Majestic One, Maker of Kings, Mighty Magician, Mighty One, Divine Mother of Golden Horrors. She becomes Isis, the goddess of fortune. So she becomes a goddess of fortune. So she becomes a goddess of wealth and money and prosperity, where she is called good fortune. So she can help you with that job, with that promotion. She's caused Isis Isis the blazing flame, not the blaming flame. Isis the blazing flame, brilliant in heaven, the celestial cow. She's also known, and one of her titles is sun goddess. I know some people don't like to associate, oh, she's a moon goddess. She's also called, one of her titles, sun goddess, as well as Isis Ray, the feminine Ra. Isis, she's also called the Uraeus, the royal cobra that spits fire at the enemies of the Pharaoh. She's she's a weaver goddess. She's a goddess of weaving, where she's the weaver. Her epithet is weaver and fuller. She who appears as Sothis, she who has no equal. That's an actually epithet. One of the other epithets is Isis the only one. Isis the protector, queen, queen of all the gods, queen of gods, queen of souls, queen of all humankind. I also I gave her my own little epithets, where I felt it just come to me as she who has no equal. She's whose throne is the earth. She's whose word is final. There's also Isis, the goddess of sorrows. One of her epithets, sorrow. Isis, who is one of her epithets is warlike. Think about that, warlike. Remember I told you she knows how to fight? Yep. Isis, who makes it. Okay, so one of her other titles is who makes a good name. Where this is like the goddess of the ruler of destiny, the goddess of fortune, the goddess who can make or break someone. Star crown of Ray Horus. Sovereign in the circle of the sun, S-U-N, not S-O-N. Sovereign in the circle of the sun. Again, another solar aspect of her. Sovereign of goddesses. Sovereign of the gods. Sovereign of maidens. Sovereign of the dance. Sovereign of the two lands, meaning Upper and Lower Egypt. Sovereign of women. So you see all these aspects, and she has so many more epithets, and there's so much to learn about Isis. And I have been going on for over an hour and 9 minutes, and I do want to thank you for staying with me and putting up with my cat. And I don't know why he didn't show up on the altar. Little Joker, do you want to come up? Does anyone want to appear in a movie? Come on, movie time. You want to come up and be a YouTube star? I did get another cat tree for them. They're just too busy with their new cat tree. And we got a whole bunch of cat trees, cat tree land here. So anyways, if you like my video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Hit me up on the comments. How do you feel about the Isis? And here we have Ra, Horus, and Hathor in the background. If you don't have image of Isis, you can always use literally the Virgin Mary to represent her. I actually had a statue of the Virgin Mary made in Italy, and she had her arms crossed, right? Right over left, with her head bowed down with tears coming out of her eyes. She's stepping on the neck of a snake that's trying to eat the rose. And she's in blue and white and wearing a white veil over her head. That's a very rare one, and it shows Isis mourning and stopping Apophis Set from touching her sacred child, the rose, which means different things. So it was a red rose. She's stepping on the snake, and she's in the X position of Lux. X, the sign of Osiris risen. So, yeah. So, I don't have a Patreon account, so keep your money or give it to worthy charities. Why not help women in charities that help women in distress? How about giving your money to that cause, for women and children in distress? Do it in the name of Isis. I'm not asking for your money. So I want to show you the new cat tree before I go. Oh, here are the cats, and you got my hair thing. Oh, we got Joker, and we got Mr. Loki, and here's the new cat tree. We got Lady Boss, and we got Sir Mew Mew. So anyways, thank you so much for watching my video. Please subscribe so you never miss anything. So my payment to me is like my video and subscribe. Thank you so much, and as always, blessed be.